one. Welcome back to the Uplink, the only place on the internet where you're going to find out about all the latest video game news. I am your host, Andrew Hampton, joined here by my co-host, Royden Ogletree.
2 weeks late.
We're back.
We're back.
Again, we're back. We never left, actually. We were always here. We just weren't currently on your screen, but we're back again.
Ignore a helmet.
This is Tim Vader.
Don't worry about it.
He's Darth's little brother. He didn't make it.
Tim Vader?
Yeah, he didn't make it. Tim didn't make it.
Oh.
But he's here.
He left this visage.
Yeah, and he says, "You do not know the power of the Uplink." And also subscribe.
Subscribe. Download it and subscribe.
Join me. All right, so we got a lot to talk about.
We're talking a Star Wars today.
We're going to do lots of Star Wars. That's going to be at the end. We're going to give our full kind of breakdown of our feelings on Jedi Survivor. Shout out to EA for sending us over some codes. Special shout out to Andy McNamara and Kyle Prawl for making
that was real cool and fun, guys. We really appreciate that one.
Appreciate that. Y'all are pretty rad. We're going to talk about some Xbox stuff. We're going to talk about a lot of Xbox stuff because they had way too much news all of a sudden. And some of it's what you're thinking. We're going to talk about some video game movies and TV shows. We're going to talk a little bit about some updates on some games that we knew were coming, but we weren't sure when, but now we know, and some games that we thought were coming that are no longer here.
Games aren't out until they're out.
That's right. Everything's delayed until it's in your hand. Don't forget that, kid. Put that on the screen right there. Everything's delayed until it's in your hand. If you're not playing it, it ain't real.
Nothing is pure. Everything stinks.
Put any of those on the screen.
Eat Arby's.
Yeah. We've got the meats. No, no.
Let's talk about Xbox. Again, Microsoft, rather.
Let's start with the easy part of this news because it's real short and simple. They said no. The CMA, who is the
Country Music Awards.
Yeah, the CMA has denied Microsoft's entry into the country music scene. It's Bill Gates cannot sing Twain.
No.
No, but the CMA, the Consumer and Marketing Agency in the UK, has denied the Activision Blizzard acquisition by Microsoft, effectively killing the deal for right now. Now, Microsoft has been like, we're going to do it anyways. Yeah. And I'm like, can you just do that?
Can you just, yeah, if like a whole country that regulates this stuff says no.
They're just like, so?
So they blocked it, and the reason that the CMA gave was the ones that we've been saying the entire time. This is actually an article that I read for once, but like they basically said everything that we said, that it would limit consumer choice, basically, considering how much of the marketplace that Activision Blizzard owns. They also cited cloud gaming as a big reason for that, which is
hilarious.
Which is kind of the first time we've heard that as a reason.
Yeah.
And really, Activision Blizzard and Microsoft's response was, "Oh man, we thought y'all were cool." Like it was like,
whatever, man. Seems like the UK is not open for business.
That's basically what they said.
That's literally what they said. He was like, "Yeah, you know, sounds like the UK doesn't want my money dollars." Like,
yeah. It really did read like, "Oh man, we thought y'all were chill, dude."
Be a real shame if we tried to tank your economy.
It's the same story, different date, but same song, different verse.
For now,
interesting.
Dead.
Yep.
And we'll see how it goes. It's kind of interesting that happened right before Redfall came out, because I think Redfall is the first Bethesda published title since they got purchased that wasn't already like in development, that shifted development, that came out since Microsoft bought ZeniMax. And Bethesda. So it's not good. The game Redfall is not.
Yeah.
It's not very. Guys, it's rough. Hey, also, can we just look? Stop making games that you think are going to be trendy in 6 years. If it takes 6 years to make a game, do not chase a current trend. It won't be there anymore. If you're thinking, I think 10 years from now, I can make the next Fortnite, don't make that. Make a different thing.
First of all, we'll all be dead. Second of all,
thankfully, we'll all be dead.
Now, I think that is a very good look at what this was. I was telling you in the office that we had talked about Redfall on this show before, and I just had this glazed look on my face and in my eyes. just in this general area.
Around the head.
Yeah, around the face. Yeah, of just like I knew what you're talking about, but I had I genuinely had no idea what Redfall was.
Yeah.
Like, hadn't seen a commercial for it.
Left 4 Dead
hadn't seen a poster for it. Hadn't seen any gameplay at all. And then I finally just went on YouTube. This is now days after it's come out and gotten reviewed and stuff, and saw people begrudgingly playing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't look good, but I had no idea what this even was.
Right. They did a bad job marketing it. And I think part of that is that, and this is speculation for legal reasons. Yeah, so this is my opinion, and this is my speculation on this, but I'm willing to bet that because we know that there was a PS5 version of Redfall originally in development prior to the purchase of Bethesda, and that they shifted to make it Xbox exclusive, that some of the development had to be completely retooled to try to make it specific, and that Microsoft wanted to make the elements of the game more multiplayer friendly to make it a big hit in the same kind of way that they were hoping Sea of Thieves was, which Sea of Thieves is fine, but it's not a hit.
It would be interesting if changing from PS5 that late, like, just tanked the entire thing, because they put out an unfinished game, guys. They just put out
it's buggy, it's bad, the frame rate is 30 or below.
It wouldn't launch. The guy that I was watching it on launch date, it wouldn't launch on PC.
Yeah, the PC version is even worse than the Xbox version, but it's the AI is super dumb. Even on the hardest difficulty, the gunplay is just not that interesting or satisfying, and it sucks because Arcane makes great games, and it sucks. This is a new trend we've been seeing. We saw it with Gotham Knights, where a studio that had previously only ever made a solid single-player game tried to make a co-op 4-player game. Then they ditched the main focus of that and shifted it to single-player again, but it was still co-opable. Anyways, real dumb, and it didn't work, and that game was bad. It was mediocre. It wasn't bad, but it was mediocre. Avengers, same thing. Group of people, team that was, previously had worked on the Tomb Raider games, did a great job with those, asked to make a live service multiplayer game, tanked. Then we get to things like Anthem, BioWare, the whole thing is single player games. Let people make single player games. Stop taking legacy studios that are good at making good narrative single player games and then just being like, but what if you just BAM! Slap the multiplayer on, just BAM! Put the multiplayer in. It's that easy. Just slap that multiplayer on there, and now it's multiplayer. How many players? 4.
But that's not where the money. You know that we've had this conversation.
But it is though. Those games make plenty of money. They make a lot of money, and
not
those
what you
games
could make.
Yeah, but you know what? None of these games have either. So
right, that's true. When you don't have either. So.
And when they flop because they're not good on either front, it's bad. It's so bad that Microsoft felt that they needed to damage controls a little bit. And I'm just going to segue into the next topic now because I'm sad about Redfall and I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Well, it's a tough look for we love when things come to Central Texas, and I mean, Austin's growing exponentially. Come to Waco, you cowards. But a tough look for Arcane Austin.
Yeah. Hey, if you guys want to call us and do an interview or something like that, I'll talk about it. If you need some therapy, I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We're here for you. I know it's rough out there, and I'm sorry that your game was forced out before it was really ready.
Also, why did we make a Left 4 Dead?
Well, no one else was, and
we did a Left 4 Dead.
We did a Left 4 Dead again last year, Back 4 Blood, and that game also tanked because that that style of game, it just doesn't appeal to anyone anymore. It's not there, and they want to sell it on battle passes and all this other stuff, and it's just
these games would have worked really, really well when we went actually over to people's houses.
Yeah,
and played
dude,
in person.
9 years
Remember
ago.
That?
Yeah, 8-9 years ago, these games would have worked for the way that the gaming landscape was. They're not there anymore. But back to my segue out of this subject. Because we have so much to talk about.
Right.
Microsoft also announced that they are bringing the Microsoft Showcase to the world with first-party games, updates on titles we've already heard about, third-party games, and then a full Starfield Direct immediately following the showcase. It's funny that they specifically were like a Starfield Direct because the first thing that happened after Redfall tanked was everyone go, oh no, Starfield's going to be bad, isn't it?
I don't know if that's the case, but we just don't know anything about Starfield.
Yeah, and we also don't know what the effect of Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda has been on the culture of developing games there.
Right.
Now, allegedly, Bethesda's allowed to be autonomous, but corporations, they be doing corporate stuff all the time, and boy, do they.
Yeah.
And Microsoft is real big on the corporate stuff, so I can't imagine they just stay completely hands-off all the time.
No, I don't have a take on it other than like, okay, cool, we get to actually see this game. That's cool and good.
Look, I'm excited to hear more about the Perfect Dark remake, which also allegedly is having an incredibly difficult time being made. It's gone through turmoil and multiple studio setups and situations. I'd like to see if Fable has more than 4 seconds worth of video available, or if it's just going to be a screen that says asset not loaded. I want to see more about that new.
Well, Fable 3 is still running. Did you know that?
Yeah.
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 That promise a tree is still growing somewhere in Fable.
Peter Molyneux, you just absolute shiny nut man. Just a crazy man. He was like, they're not super shiny.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, he's a crazy person who's like, what if a game could do open heart surgery, but in real time on a person? Like, that's the promise of our next game. And then it's not in the game, and it's not a thing. You remember Milo, the kid from the Kinect trailer?
Yeah.
That's Peter Molyneux, who was lying to you the whole time, and in an interview a few years later, he was like, it was fake. We knew it was fake, but they told us to go out there and pretend like it was real.
Again, we've talked about this before, I think, but that's like the craziest, like, I thought we were in the future.
Dude,
you know when your parents talk about, like, or your grandparents talk about, like, we thought there was going to be flying cars in 2023 or whatever? That's the first time that I saw that in the Xbox Connect commercial, and I was like, we're in the future. Like, we're going to have, like, talking AI, which we kind of do now, but, like, but not that.
Sucks.
They said this is coming out in 28, and this is coming out in 2013. And you're like, what?
Hey, guys, I'm in the future currently. It sucks. I want to go back. It's bad here.
We're in the bad place. Subscribe. Okay, so anything else that about like just a Starfield Direct?
Yeah, so Starfield Direct, they're going to show gameplay, discuss more about the world and stuff. My thing is it's still going to be a highly curated thing, so we won't really know what the game's like until it's out. But it will be nice to see more about what the game's going to be like, if they've taken into account any of the criticism they got from the last trailer that they put out. And it's real weird that, like when a movie does this, where they put out 2 trailers and that's it. I'm like, I kind of get it. You're trying to hide you don't want to spoil anything, you know? But games are reliant on gameplay trailers to make me want to play that game. So not putting out a gameplay trailer for 6 months makes me go, oh, this game's in trouble. They don't have gameplay. They're out. They ran out of gameplay, fresh out. They forgot to develop the game.
They forgot to make the game. No, what was the last thing that we got? Like some speed run of a moon or something like that? Like what?
Yeah, it was like a moon level, and that was pretty much it. It was No Man's Sky, Minecraft, and then a little bit of Cyberpunk and Skyrim.
Yeah.
And it was not, I wasn't impressed.
Again, everything's delayed until it's not, but this is the most delayed game of all time. I can guarantee, like, this is the most delayed game.
And maybe do delay it. If you look, Microsoft, Bethesda, if you're unsure of Starfield at all, delay it. Look at Redfall.
Look at Cyberpunk.
Look at Cyberpunk. Look at Halo Infinite, Microsoft. Delay it.
You got the money.
Look, I know you spent. I hear you. You spent so much money. I don't care about that, but I hear you. Delay it. All right? Cool. Thanks.
Next topic.
Phil, get out of here. Phil Spencer's right behind the camera. You guys can't see him. He's crying. If you don't know that there's a strike currently going on, then you haven't been paying attention. The CMA.
Sorry, WGA.
WGA. Too many acronyms, guys. Let's have a meeting to consolidate the acronyms. WGA is currently striking, shutting down most of film and TV and everything else. And in solidarity with those writers, we are also shutting down. The show ends right now.
Bye. Just kidding. We don't have writers if you can't tell.
Yeah, I mean, you think this is scripted?
Nope.
No, I can't write. I can't read either. What's up? I'm
never
Andrew
learned how to
Hamilton, and I
read.
never learned how to read. But gaming writers are standing in solidarity with their brothers in the pen and saying that they will also not accept jobs in the film industry and stuff during this time. They're not going to scab. They're not going to work for studios because that's the first place studios go. Now, I'm going to say something that is going to sound crazy, but also YouTube content creators, you should also say that. You should also not do scab work. They will inevitably turn to those of you who write good video essay stuff and go, good enough. And you can make content for 9 months and they're gonna pay you like garbage. And then everyone's
And you
gonna
won't get
hate
insurance.
you.
And you'll never get your foot back in the door at another writer's room.
Yeah.
Not saying that's the right thing to do, but I'm just saying, like,
Don't take scab work. It's not good. Support your fellow writers. You
I
may
didn't
not
even think
of
about
yourself as a writer.
I didn't think about the YouTube thing, but the people that write like YouTube shorts and skits, like, ooh.
It's not a lot of
What's
it's
next?
not good content.
TikTok?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, a lot of it's not good content, but the little bit that is, there's just enough people who have a talent that they aren't using at a corporate level.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Like
there's a
someone
lot
could
of people
swoop
in
in.
that universe, in that atmosphere that are like, they haven't quite broken into, so they've used this to get their stuff out into the world, and hopefully somebody will see it. If they're looking right now, I'm just telling you right now that who can write that's not
Who's not
Chat GPT?
Right, and honestly, they're still probably like, maybe though.
This won't affect video game writing, but it is.
No, not
but
for now.
They're not crossing over the other line.
Currently, video game writers are not included in the WGA, though they are petitioning to be added to that pool.
Should be. They don't have a guild or a.
Like game unions are rising, and
union.
This kind of thing needs to happen for that industry.
Oh, brother, can you imagine the strikes that gamers unions could go on?
Could you imagine how much more dangerous it would be for those people to strike than it is for these people?
Yeah.
Because gamers are notoriously super chill and
Yes.
cool about stuff. And don't make that
super level-headed. Good for them.
Yeah,
Like, sure.
I mean, I'm happy to see solidarity across the spectrum of writers. We support. I mean, I do. I don't. Wouldn't you support?
No.
Give your official opinion.
Get back to work.
Where's my movies?
Yeah.
No, I support the
I do
writers.
too.
And honestly, if you're a corporation and you can't just write down that you're not going to feed your AI other people's content to make it write content like their content.
Put it in writing.
Just write it. Just write it down and say, yeah, obviously I would never do that. That would be rude.
That would be weird and bad. Also, stop wasting money on 18 seasons of Love is Blind. I know that show gets clicks.
Yeah.
And
stop
put that
reality
money
TV.
back into, these streamers say, we don't have the money to give residuals. We don't have, we're broke. Stop being, we know that's not true.
Yeah, Zaslav, you gave yourself $300 million bonus last year. Shut up.
We just know that's not true.
Yeah.
There's money all over the place.
You're not convincing any of us. And those of us, you are paid for Twitter Blue, so they don't count.
I don't know, man. I will say, yes, I am in support of writers striking to get more money, especially, people that are like long-term show writers that work in a huge writer's room that have to take a small sliver from like 20 writers. Give them more money. But also, I say this all with the caveat of everybody should know your content is going to suck next year.
If this doesn't get resolved very quickly.
Yeah. Not this year. We're fine right now.
Well, kind of, except that production is butt to butt right now, so.
Well, I'm just saying they have all the stuff in the can. I'm just saying the stuff that they don't have in the can, it's going to stink.
Rough.
I know you remember 2007.
It was rough. We got a couple of good things out of that, but it was.
People are still asking if Chuck is going to come back in the air.
Nope. It's a little late for that one.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, next topic.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. We're just going to blast through these two kind of close together. Armored Core 6 got an official release date of August 25th.
Cool.
Cool. Mechs with Dark Souls? No thanks, but I'm in. I'm going to hold the controller like this.
You told me about that. I had no idea what that was.
Yeah, it looks like that. That's how you have to go. If you're going to play this game, you got to hold it like that. I'm not explaining further. You just have to. That's the rules. Also, not a release date, but a delay. Suicide Squad is out of here. It's in 2024. It's done. We knew it. We told you. We reported that here, and that was definitely our reporting that we did.
Yep.
And I researched it myself by typing in Suicide Squad.
Well, it was rumored to be delayed, and now this is official.
Jason Schreier first said that it was rumored to be delayed, and that the delay would likely come soon, and that it was more about polish and not about fixing the things that people currently have a problem with. Which means that this is just going to be Redfall again, but more polished, I guess. I don't know. It's going to be bad, and I'm sorry that Rocksteady got pulled into it, but
I knew that something was going to go down when they didn't give us more than like 5 minutes of like gameplay, and half of that was like, this is how you do the level ups, and you're like, oh no.
And here's the damage numbers. I'm out.
Yeah.
Get those damage numbers out of here. Don't put numbers on my look, superhero video games. I don't want to know how much damage they do, and I don't want to know why Superman has to equip a bracelet to do more damage. Screw that. Let me be a superhero.
Well, reading the tea leaves, also another thing that came out with a cinematic trailer and then just went radio silent.
Yeah.
For like, oh, wait.
So long. They were
oh,
like,
wait.
Remember, same thing with the Wonder Woman game, which we still don't currently know anything about. It's not going to be multiplayer, so I have more confidence in this Monolith who did Shadow of Mordor, but weird whenever we get in. Now, don't announce games so early that you can't ever show me footage within 2 years.
Wolverine, your days are numbered, buddy.
It's coming. It's coming. I've heard rumors. I've heard inklings. I don't want to talk about it yet, but it's coming.
All right.
Spider-Man 2, also likely September. There's a comic coming out this month that is a prequel to that on Free Comic Book Day. You can get it for free. Check it out. Also, Spider-Man Remastered for PS5 is launching as standalone finally. So if you didn't get it with the Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales, congratulations. You can now pay $70 for that. You win!
Yay!
All right. Let's talk about the Gran Turismo trailer, because now I understand this movie a little bit better.
From the weird synopsis that they gave?
Yeah, so like, we were trying to figure it out last time. What do you mean you making a Gran Turismo movie? You know, we weren't like, is this going to be just racetracks? It's based on the story, and this is still a thing that happens, of a kid that went from playing Gran Turismo professionally, because it's such a accurate sim that it is exactly like driving these cars in the way that it reacts with the speed and the turning and everything. Like, everything aside from the feeling of driving the car is exactly the same. The resistance on the wheel and everything, if you're playing with one of those wheels. He went from playing that and winning professionally there to the insane idea of transitioning him to really racing.
But like, how far did he get? Like, I want to know like how much they're embellishing this.
I don't remember the exact story. I'll have to.
I gotta look that
it up after the show, and we'll talk about it.
Because it seems fake, but they plastered.
No, it was real.
They plastered based on a true story all over this.
I think he won the race that he was in. That was the first like immediate thing that he did after like he won. But I don't know about after that. I don't know if he continued to be like good at it.
We'll talk about it here in a second. Just PlayStation in general, they're pumping out. They are pumping out the movie and TV show content,
and they're putting a lot of work into these things.
This looks like the most 6 out of 10 TNT on a Sunday afternoon movie of all time, and that's okay.
This is a PlayStation movie for your dad.
Yeah, because that is exactly what you were going to get out of it. Like, I don't think this was going to be Ford versus Ferrari. Sorry to PlayStation, but just
the driving looks good.
Yeah, like it looks good. David Harbour
really
looks
cool stuff with the drone shots that are attached to like line things that are following the car so they can get up close cars. And then they did like this cool 3D scan of the inside of the cockpit and stuff.
Yeah.
So
David Harbour looks committed, which he always is, but like he looks like he's having a decent time with this weird premise. But hey, whatever, man. Like, I wouldn't have picked this as the next PlayStation game, but hey, look,
When was the last time you saw Orlando Bloom? No one knows.
That is a good married to Katy Perry somewhere, having a great time.
Just been living in the hills with Katy Perry.
Yep.
I've seen lots of her and none of him. Super weird.
No, so okay, this is the most sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm more sure about this than I am about the other project that we're going to talk about, which is the Twisted Metal TV show for
Peacock? Question mark?
Raise a show of hands. Who's got Peacock? You don't. Stop lying. You do not subscribe to Peacock.
And you know what's funny? It's like $3. It's not. It is. It's like so cheap.
It's one of the few streaming services I just don't have. And,
Yeah.
and I never have any desire to like. Even whenever I was like, I want to go back and watch some episodes of SNL or whatever, and I was like, oh man, they're only on Peacock. I guess I just won't do that.
It won't do that.
I would just go look up clips on YouTube or something.
It's
instead.
so cheap. Like Netflix continues to be like, hey, I guess you're sticking around $25 now.
What if it was $30 for
4K.
4K, and you can only stream it on one phone.
Peacock's like, we're gonna give this to you.
We will come to your house and perform The Office live.
Yeah, please. You know,
Steve Carell's on standby.
They do have some good content on there. I have been borrowing our coworkers' Peacock for forever, so their algorithm is all messed up. But they're just trying to watch The Office. I'm just like,
what if this though?
What if Twisted Metal? You know, but
Anthony Mackie for this and Will Arnett for the vocals of Sweet Tooth.
It seems like it's going to be based. Talk about a game that I also never really got into, Twisted Metal, because I was like,
Twisted Metal.
I was 15 or really young when the first few games came out, but like,
it's good stuff.
I grew up in a very conservative Christian household. They weren't going to let me play Death Car Racing, the game.
I went to my friends. Sorry, Mom and Dad. I'm a rebel.
So it seems like it's going to be based off the third game, mostly.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be using the backstory for the characters that way. Here's the thing. Without blowing a budget on massive Disney-level CGI, I don't know how you make the Death Car stuff work. And it's going to be just rapid cuts between cars driving fast and then cut to another car exploding, or a shot of gun barrel spinning up and then car exploding, but never actually getting to see the two things interact with each other, you know? I can't imagine that it's going to go well as far as how everything kind of like lines up together. I don't know. This is the one I'm least excited about out of all the ones.
But speaking of PlayStation, they are hooking anybody and everybody that will put out their content. They're just like, well, you put out Peacock, sure.
They really should have waited till The Last of Us hit to start shopping around, because they could have just had the actual pick of the.
And I'm really surprised, and it may just be really like whoever will take our stuff. Like we don't want to like continue to brand our content. I'm really surprised like how spread out all of their stuff is. Because you got Last of Us, HBO, you have Uncharted, which is going to movie theaters, but produced by, I mean it was Sony, so yeah. So just Sony straight up. But then you have something going to Netflix, and you have something.
Amazon's doing God of War.
You have Amazon doing it, and then you have this on Peacock. It's just like, would they have been better off? And also, this is the other thing. Sony, don't start a streaming service. You don't have to, but this is the problem with Sony being the only major studio.
Yeah, they're the last one. They're the last holdouts.
Yeah, without a streaming partner.
I think part of it also is that they founded the PlayStation Studios film studio.
Yeah.
Specifically for production on these, so they're not paying these companies to produce the films and TV shows. They're
it's distribution.
Helping, for the distribution, and that makes more sense to me. I honestly don't understand why so many companies are so gung ho about having independent streaming services, when you could just make the money off your competitors and you would still get the recognition. Like, no one's like, oh, you remember when Netflix was the James Bond place? Like, no one thinks about it that way. You go, oh yeah, James Bond, MGM. I still know that those things are.
Yeah, when it plays the MGM logo.
Plus, I am never paying for MGM Plus.
Not once.
You're not going to convince me.
Not even if there's a fire.
We can't talk about this anymore, though. We're out of time on that subject because we got to get to our main thing.
Twisted Metal. Real weird.
Yeah. Anthony Mackie, what are you doing? I'm interested.
It's going to be a comedy. It's from the Deadpool guys. Okay.
It could be good. It could be bad. Who knows?
Probably bad.
Watch it. Here's the clown.
Yeah.
Scary. Spooky. Not as spooky as Jedi Survivor. That's not true. That's not spooky. Let's talk about Jedi Survivor, though.
Let's do a Star War.
I've beaten it.
I have not.
And I'm currently in the middle of assembling my review, which will be up either the day this goes up or the following day. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I like it a lot. It's Star Wars to a T. It stands as a great Star Wars story connecting all of the eras of Star Wars into one kind of place, including the High Republic stuff that they're currently doing in the comics and book series and stuff. It's got a real good adventure story in there also that stands on its own. So even if it wasn't a Star Wars story, you'd still want to take this journey. I think there's a lot of really good stuff about it. The combat's great most of the time. The world design is beautiful. I just wish that it ran better.
Well, we can talk about that. We've been toying around with the performance mode, and the quality mode is what I finally figured out what it was called, the quality mode.
Quality mode.
And I get confused by this stuff all the time, like why does it matter? Like, what does it look? I just know what it looks like to my eyeballs, you know what I get confused with frame rate, and I get confused with
numbers is hard.
Yeah, I get confused with all of it, pixels and everything else. Here's what I have seen from it that stood out to me as far as just the playability of it. If that's even a word. Yeah. I like things in quality mode just because I have now become accustomed to watching everything in like 4K, and everything is that super smooth. You can see every little pixel, and it does look good when you're kind of like standing still and you're in the sunlight and everything's hitting it.
Yeah.
And it looks good. When you go into any sort of shadow or any sort of
it gets real rough.
If you're splitting time between shadow and light and everything, there's the weird motion blur with it is.
It's got this dithering effect that creates the shadow version of yourself like around you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'll be honest with you guys. Performance is not great. It handles all right. The quality mode is 30 FPS supposed to be locked. It does drop a little bit. That's the most consistent thing you're going to get out of either of these modes is that 30 FPS. Generally hits 1440p at a 4K-ish resolution, but it still suffers a lot from this jittery kind of dithering effect that's around everything. Sometimes turning the camera too fast will really cause it to scatter parts of the screen as you're moving. I've had textures load in improperly. I lost a fight because Cal just randomly T-posed in the middle of a fight. That's not
that
ideal.
hadn't happened to me yet. I will say that the performance mode does do performance mode without motion blur. I did every single option that you could possibly do. And I just remember that performance mode with motion blur on, and it felt like the best for combat. Just simply running around and scaling walls and doing stuff, quality is for sure the best one. And I haven't had that many problems with it, but there just was a time when my eyes were literally getting fatigued, and I kind of was getting like motion sickness at a certain time when the day-night cycle was coming in. Also looks great too, but like the day-night cycle was coming in, and all of a sudden I was like, am I getting sick? Like, what is I felt dizzy for a second.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I hadn't eaten. But no, so that's the problems that we did have about it. Obviously, we're both, you more so than me, but we're both huge Star Wars fans. As far as just the feel of the world that you were talking about, I will say, even with some of those issues, the world felt really tactile.
It feels super lived.
Yeah, it felt really like you could almost touch it to me.
Yeah, I think it stood out, especially like the opening scenes where you get to visit Coruscant for the first time in this series. And we even in the shows and movies, we've only gotten to see Coruscant from certain angles. It was cool to see kind of like the underbelly part of stuff. I really like that whole scene. It felt very much like it existed in the Star Wars universe as a lived-in place. There's a lot of like little things that go into the building of these areas. And I think that the way that it stands out from its predecessor is that because of the Metroidvania, Metroid Castlevania kind of inspired level design that they use, that Dark Souls also uses a lot, where it's recursive and ties back in. And, you go this way and you
can loop back into each other.
Yeah, and you pass a whole bunch of stuff that you can't do yet, and then you come back and you go, oh, here's a shortcut back, and now I know that I can just go here and go back up here, and once I get that power, I can go get that power up or whatever. Because of that, I think Jedi Fallen Order relied heavily on a very linear design. So if you look at like the maps of that game, a lot of them are just straightforward, like paths. It's one line, it's going this way, and they kind of branch back and connect to each other, but there's still just one line. This game is like open area. It's open world in that each individual planet has its own open world area to explore. I think that both works better to make it feel more real and lived in. There's certainly a lot more variety to be had. You don't feel like things are as scripted and weird. But I think it does also do a disservice to that design of the Metroidvania stuff, because like we were talking about how you can traverse for forever and then you die and you respawn back from the other side of the map. That wouldn't be as big a problem if it were linear levels, but because it's open, there's so many different times where you could have been going for forever and just died, and the last time you were at an available point was way over here. There are a lot of meditation points, but they're not always.
If you don't find one,
if you're not paying attention and you walk past them, you're screwed.
Or you can't get to it for some reason or another. Most of the time, like you said, it does double back on itself. So I've found like I got less annoyed with that over time, where I was like, when am I gonna be able to get over to this place? And you just play the game, and you're just like, oh, okay. Like it's just real dumb, like animal brain of me to be like, when am I gonna get to this point? I will say though, man, when I had to respawn across the map one time, I was like, wait, what?
You what?
Huh? What do you mean? I will say.
I'm how far away?
Yeah, I really had to start over one time, but I think obviously they knew that you were going to fall off things, traversing things, so the fact that it kind of just like picks you up and drops you back off at where you jumped off and fell down a cliff, like that I appreciate, because I do that a lot.
Kudos to giving us the double jump right off the back, by the way.
Yeah.
Never ever take that from me ever again.
No, I like, there's so many open world games now that like you can just go on for days, and then you'd have to backtrack all the way back to where, what I was trying to do originally. You know, like when I was playing Breath of the Wild, or not Breath of the Wild, they just released the DLC earlier. Horizon, sorry, I always get that confused. When you're playing the latest Horizon game, Forbidden West, it's like, I was following this side mission all the way over here. Now I am all the way across the map.
Yeah, from where I need to be.
From where I need to be. There's always this forward momentum to this game, because there still is that linear motion to it that I kind of appreciate a little bit. Now I will say I have felt like I was gonna get lost a few times.
I have gotten lost, and I'll tell you why. It's partly because, guys, when you make a UI for a map, if it's going to be a hollow map, don't make the background a slightly darker color of the foreground. It's hard to see the blue on the blue because of all the blue. But I only got lost one time because of that. The other time was because I'm an idiot, and I walked past. If you haven't seen my video on the squeeze-throughs, link in the description, but there's a lot of them in this game. They really, really, really wanted to use every chance to make it squeeze through a tiny corridor to pop out somewhere else.
See, we're still,
loading it.
Yeah, the loading, there is no load time. Yada, yada.
It's on the other side. It's in there. But, so you do that a lot. But the crevices are not always super noticeable. I walked past 2 or 3 times. I walked past the same spot, and I was like, there is not an opening. It's not it doesn't show up on the map.
It's really built into the wall.
Yeah, it's literally in the wall. It doesn't stick out at all. And you're just like, there's a small gap here, but there's also a small gap over here that's a little bit smaller than that. And how am I supposed to know that this was where I'm supposed to go?
Well, one will let you go through it.
Shut up.
No.
Don't you ever come at me like that
Right.
ever again. I'm just an idiot. But it was, yeah, I mean, like overall, I've really enjoyed the game. I think that from Fallen Order to Survivor, it's, you know, Star Wars did the Star Wars thing where they released an intermediate medium for this, where they put out a book that takes place between Fallen Order and Survivor. So I feel like if you're coming from Fallen Order and you're going to Survivor, you might feel a little bit lost at first.
Well, as somebody who knows the story of Fallen Order, but they do, I mean, they give you a whole story at the very beginning, like a whole
they
flash
tell you the whole
screen.
thing.
As somebody that didn't enjoy Fallen Order as much, I felt like I just didn't get through it. I kind of, I put it down and I never picked it back up again. This feels like Star Wars more so than anything else, and obviously there's been some good stuff that they've actually done with Disney Plus, but you know, some good, some bad. But like, this is on, to me, story-wise so far, and I haven't finished it, and maybe you would differ. Like, this is like on Andor level sort of new media that they put out as far as like the writing goes, and that's good to see, because it could be. Sorry, EA doesn't have any association with it, but like, sorry, Boba Fett, like, it's not that. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, it's really good writing. I like, you know, I know some people have taken issue with some of the character choices here, in particular when it comes to like Marin, but I think that there's a lot of good in everything about it, and I think that it's been interesting to see Star Wars from such a different perspective, because, you know, inherently as a Star Wars nerd, I want to go, how can there be more Jedi?
Right.
Wouldn't Yoda have known about the Jedi? He said that Luke was like, whatever, semantics. He was 900 years old. Why are you trusting him?
Yeah.
Yeah, but also they could have been hiding themselves from the Force. But that's like the idea that there's all these like secret Jedi out there who were assisting rebels in different ways that just weren't Luke Skywalker level of helping, but that people just didn't know about. For the most part, is kind of cool. That it's like the secret society of the Jedi Order is almost like preserved through the Resistance.
And I'm like always team captain, like, let's go further back in the past than just between the Clone Wars and
New Hope.
New Hope. Yeah, I think that's been explored so much now.
Yeah.
And
we're running out of gaps to fill.
The gaps between the movie trilogies is something that I'm just currently like
I'm
done exploring. But I will say, playing this, I was like, I'd like to know more about it.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. That's the highest compliment that I can get. As somebody that's tired of that narrative between narratives, I'm like.
And they do a good job of stepping away from the main cast of things that are going on in Star Wars.
Right.
And the High Republic stuff that's introduced at the shortly after the intro to the game is phenomenal. I think that it ties great into like it leaves a lot of like little crumbs for you to want to go seek out more of this High Republic stuff and learn more about that.
A strategy that I think Disney is kind of doing, because it's like, remember the Old Republic and how everybody loved that? Come over here, come to this one.
Yeah. That still exists, but what if there was another Republic right after that called the High Republic?
Yeah, because we don't want to really, it is canon, but we don't have to talk about it. Anyway, here's my biggest compliment to EA. It's cool fighting with a lightsaber, man.
Boy, is it.
You got the lightsaber stuff right. I will just say, it is so fun. It is
and
so.
The stances, so
yeah, it is so fun. It is so good to like customize the lights. I spit a little bit. It is so fun to like customize the lightsaber.
Oh yeah,
and
dude,
stuff.
my lightsaber looks badass.
Yeah, like I know it's all cosmetic in this game.
cares?
It does not bother me whatsoever.
Look,
anytime I get to a workbench, I'm like, I'm gonna change something.
yeah, exactly. I captured close to, I don't know, 34 hours of gameplay. And I'll tell you this much, I guarantee you something like 9 hours is me playing Barbie with Cal, because I'm like,
I'm gonna give him a beard.
I don't know. And if you're one of the sickos out there who's decided to equip my poor boy Cal with a mullet, you get out of here. You get out of here. The government's not coming for your lightsabers. You take that mullet out of here.
I saw one where he had a mullet, the Fu Manchu, and a gun.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you for creating the first ever Southern Jedi. It's beautiful.
You can come and take my lightsaber out of my cold, dead hands, I tell you what.
Nice try. We all know the Death Star is a myth.
Oh my gosh.
It's a false flag.
It's some interesting stuff that you can, it's false flag operation. It is interesting, some of the stuff that you can recruit people to this
Yeah, I love
thing.
the
Also, do, gardening for some reason?
Yeah, man.
Why not?
You had a little terrarium type thing in the ship before. I loved all that. We're running out of time here.
I wish
so
you could fly a plane. I want to actually fly stuff.
I would love for games to stop putting spaceships in their games, so they're not going to let me.
Let me
personally
fly the thing.
Destiny.
Also, in EA, you have nothing to do with this. You made a really good game that we have enjoyed playing.
Yeah.
I know everything is supposed to be canon in Star Wars. I know. Let me make a Jedi that looks like. Can I? I mean, I don't not look like that character right now with the beard, but like.
I think that's where we're going with the High Republic stuff eventually.
Can I like make an open world game where I'm the Jedi, where Royden Ogletree is the Jedi, and not some playable character? You know.
Royal Ogleby.
I want to.
Rodan.
I don't know. I want to be the playable character. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know.
Like the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm saying. Can we do that?
Yeah, I mean, and there's lots of Star Wars games in development. You can find my full review on Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Obviously, we both enjoyed it, so you can expect for me to enjoy it.
I'm playing it for the rest of the week for sure.
Not going to give it a pass on the technical stuff, but I do got to say that it's a fantastic game through and through. But that's going to do it for us this week. If you like the content that we make here, be sure to subscribe and leave a like on this video. You can catch more Uplink every other Wednesday, where we show up and blabber about all the stuff that happened in
probably
kind of
Microsoft
loosely coherent sentences. And then Kim makes it look better than I ever could. But for now, I've been Andrew Hamilton. That's Roy Nolan. We're done. We're out of here.
May the Force sort of be with you. Kind of.
I have you now.